Hey, welcome to episode 9, as the Red Skull would say, of Nerd of Mouth. I am Mike Lawrence.
I am Jake Young, bringing you the Nerd News Mach now.
And our special guest today, the Harley Quinn of hate himself, the Mastodon of Malice, Hassan Madri.
And he's fat, guys. He does like things, and he's huge. Yeah.
Oh. Nothing can stop the Hassan.
He has impulse control issues and rage problems and serious drinking issues.
And that's why
which are all way more those are all more debilitating to you than you being fat. Like, you can lose weight, you can't lose rage.
Yeah, that's in there. Thanks, Dad.
Hassan Madri, Primal Rage. It's just you fighting dinosaurs. I play that game.
Speaking of disappointments, we have a very special theme today. Welcome to the first annual Nerd of Mouth Hate-a-thon.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we are irrationally negative. We're just negative today. I mean, it's we live in New York, and it's still cold, and we're angry. And we're just going to hate shit today. We have all assembled Avengers. I can't say assembled without saying Avengers. We have all gathered here today with 3 things that we hate. We each say 3 things that we hate. Take turns. And that's it. We're just jizzing blood into our microphones.
Special hello to my parents who are listening in today.
You should never tell your parents you're on a podcast. Then they can know what's inside your heart and mind.
Google me.
Jake was the first baby created by blood jizz. The circle comes around.
Actually, blood jizz was the character I created in the 90s, drawn by Rob Liefeld.
It was during the Grim and Gritty era.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, his superpower was pouting. Go ahead, Shadowhawk. I'm gonna wait in the car.
You've been a real dick, Shadowhawk.
I'm just gonna think about what I did and what's been done to me.
I'm Shadowhawk. I have AIDS. Shut up.
All right. Well, Hassan hates AIDS. That's it. All right, Hassan, kick us off. First thing that you really fucking hate.
In my history of navigating around the world of nerddom, I think the thing that I've gotten into the most arguments about is I hate the entire Star Wars, any Star Wars movie.
I agree.
And The Empire Strikes Back sucks 2 balls and 3 cocks.
Whoa.
It's a shitty film.
Man, it looks like someone is going to carve you up and sleep inside you for saying that.
I just, for those of you at home,
that on the outside.
Yeah.
I am licking a hunting knife slowly across my tongue, just so you know.
It's erotic. It's
How can you...
He weighs a ton.
You come into my house and you shit on hospitality.
Here's the problem.
And I won't allow it.
Yoda sucks. Yoda sucks. He sucks. He doesn't say anything cool. That's the worst training montage in any film ever.
Yoda is what boring. A white guy thinks Asians sound like if he's never met them. Wise I am.
Why did I come to the fucking Dagobah system to sit in mud and think real hard, you faggot? Teach me how to use a lightsaber.
Listen, if you're going through any problem with your life, just go into a dark cave and cut up a weird vision of your father who turns out to have your own face.
I've done that. I was hammered drunk in my studio apartment, though. It was different. I just ended up punching a mirror and bleeding everywhere. Like I'm at the beginning of Apocalypse Now.
I think Yoda is famous for the same reason Betty White is now, that he's able to get his lines out to spite himself. It's like, oh, look, he's cute, he's trying. He should be dead, but
Do or not do, there is no try.
I think my main logic issue with the movie is that, okay, so Darth Vader's whole thing is, I'm going to get my son to really just succumb to his anger, because I'll get him to the dark side, but I'm going to freeze his best friend and really just do nothing else. And his whole pitch to join the dark side is, join the dark side. No, come on. Why don't you join the dark side? Nope.
He'll be more powerful.
The dark side. It's like, anyway, he gives him to pay out some stupid fucking fat space monster. Fuck that shit. He's in the Empire. That guy is a fucking rebel sympathizer. It's Han Solo. Fucking cut off his head and rape his skull, and then Luke's gonna get really pissed and maybe think about the dark side a little bit more.
By the way, I think Space Mobster opened for the Mighty Mighty Boss Jones on the leg of the Warp Tour.
The Battle of Hoth.
I played trumpet in Space Monster.
There is nothing redeemable.
That whole it's so boring. Oh, hey, I don't know if this fucking guy's going to sell me out.
By the way, Lando, in a galaxy far, far away, there's Africans? Like, Like, how are there different races? And so it doesn't make any sense. Like,
Well,
because we know, there's like, the first humans were black, and because of the sun, their skin was dark, and then they moved to snowier places, and the skin became whiter over time, and that makes sense. They never explain that in Star Wars, and it bothers me.
You just joined us for Sci-Fi Eugenics with Mike Lawrence.
my problem with Lando.
Kill all the Ferengis.
Star Jews.
They're polluting. I will rot in my grave before my daughter marries a goddamn Cardassian.
I will rot in my grave before my daughter marries a goddamn Cardassian.
Keeping up with the Cardassians. If that is not a Robot Chicken sketch, within the time this episode is over, I don't know anything about Seth MacFarlane.
You might not.
Remember the time I referenced Seth MacFarlane? All right.
It's weird that you meant... Okay, I was going to say my number one thing is unnecessary prequels and remakes. So the Star Wars prequels definitely falls into that.
The worst. They're all so bad.
They're the worst movies ever, and like the fact that kids today just absolutely will love them just as much.
I don't know anything about kids
know any
today.
better.
I don't know any kids today.
That's the thing. It's like you read stories by parents, and they're like, they love Jar Jar Binks, and it breaks my heart every day.
Why? Because everything in Star Wars equally sucks as Jar Jar Binks does. That's my point. It's all stupid. There's little fucking robots. Fuck them. And it's just bad.
I'm reaching to strangle, but my chubby arms cannot
who would
reach.
work for the Empire? It's like, this fucking Darth Vader guy will just choke me from outer space.
Anyway. So it's a lose-lose. Yeah.
Grand Moff Tarkin is awesome. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah. The name is, but the character sucks.
But like
it all
the
sucks.
Tron reboot, the Masters of the Universe remake, like everything, just come up with an original idea. The reason why people like these old things is because they're from the era they came from. Like, we're all creative people. Just
make something new. Did you know they're making Thundercats
in CGI? It looks terrible.
It doesn't matter. It's going to be terrible because the Thundercats was terrible.
Just the fact that there are people starving and someone is spending millions of dollars on CGI to get the nyarf nyarf like sound effect out there. Like, it just...
I remember when I was in high school, I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and I was saying, I like the Thundercats, and he was arguing the Thundercats were stupid. He goes, think about this, the Thundercats, you like that, right? I was like, yeah. He goes, imagine it was called the Lightning Dogs. It'd be the same thing. It would just be 100 times more terrible.
Real. Yeah. I've just received a note from producer extraordinaire Marcus Parks that they are making a Blade Runner sequel.
Yeah,
mush 'em up, which I am choking on bile and or Ready Whip. I can't figure out what these
Tron, like 28 years later. I mean, come on, like it's just. And I'm not even a fan of the original, but I heard it sucked. I heard the new one sucked. It's just like,
I didn't see it.
But well, that's good because like that's the problem with the remakes and the prequels and all that is that people will go see it regardless. It's like I remember when the first Star Wars prequel came out and people like I had a high school teacher, I'm pretty sure was a pedophile.
It's because he was jerking you off that time? Was that your first clue?
No, it's because he wouldn't jerk me off, but he jerked off other kids. Fuck him. I was needed to. But no, because of I asked him like over that weekend. I was like, "Oh, so what'd you think?" He was like, "Yeah, it was terrible, but I saw it 9 times because I wanted to make sure they make another one." It's like, but that's our problem, and that is the first that segs into my thing that I hate the most. And it is nerd sheepishness. The fact that we fucking kowtow to these assholes and buy anything. Like, that it's just that there's no standard of quality first. It's like, I mean, I'm a person, and, having limited budgets and stuff, I'll read reviews and see, and think about something before I just buy it, but people will buy it anyway.
Here's the reason why.
If I don't buy this Firefly t-shirt, then they might not make any more Firefly merchandise.
Yeah.
I think the reason why is that, I think this is true for a lot of, like, nerds, is that you really just put on a pedestal, like, everything you loved when you were a kid. And so that's why any modern comic continuity will just never really change for any long period of time. Because everybody's like, I want Spider-Man back the way it was. It's like, fuck it. He had venom claws coming out of his wrist. That was terrible, but keep stick by your decision. Somebody put that down on paper. It was in the comic book. It's there still. It's terrible. Live with it.
Well, it's like, I mean, like I grew up on the Ninja Turtles, and I love the Ninja Turtles. And I saw all those movies, including the third one, never forget. And, and then they did like this TMNT, CGI movie a few years ago, and it's like, it doesn't look like the Turtles, and I didn't see it because it looked shitty.
And it was pretty crappy. There was one good, someone cared about that fight scene and nothing else.
You just gotta take a stand sometimes,
Also, you gotta say, hey, I'm not going to see this Ninja Turtles movie because I'm in fact a 32-year-old man with real problems. So I'm just gonna maybe move on with my life.
If anyone actually listened to that, we wouldn't have a podcast.
Yeah.
You know what? We're gonna take a break, and we'll be right back.
Yep.
Ready to go when you are.
Mike Lawrence Barrage.
All right, Hassan, what is the second thing that you hate?
This is connected to my third thing, but I don't like the Green Lantern Corps. I don't
now,
like them.
before we start shrieking and clawing at your face like some sort of horrific banshee.
I'm just going to say right off the bat, I think I can beat the shit out of both of you at the same time. Let's keep going with this.
That would be podcasting going. Is he taping this?
Hassan doesn't socialize.
Do you mean like the character Green Lantern totally, or the idea that he has a million different versions of himself?
The whole concept is stupid.
Are you telling me you don't like Space Cops? It's awesome.
Okay, sure. I like Space Cops. I don't understand why they all fly around with rings. They should be called green rings, first of all. Don't hit anybody with a lantern in the face. Because that's what that would be like. That guy's the Green Lantern. You just smashed me in the face with a Green Lantern, so that's what I'm going to call him. No, he has a ring that can do everything. It's shaped like a lantern for no fucking reason. That some idiot kid, which his dad got the herpes and fucking died in the 1920s, and said, I'm alone.
By the way, you called it the herpes, which no one has referred to it since the 1920s.
That's it. You can't just... It's stupid. And then there's just now, it's run amok, and I don't care that there are other rings of different colors. It's turning into Captain Planet, and I don't like it. It's stupid. Honestly, everything...
Wait. Has a South American with heart gotten a...
Isn't the whole red ring thing hard or the pink one?
No, red ring is rage!
Which one is the one of love?
Which is what we are feeling now?
There's one of love.
Pink?
Is it
red, indigo, violet?
Star Sapphire.
See, here's the thing. Here's my problem with DC Comics. Because they actually had a pitch meeting where somebody said, check this out. Violet rings are going to be about love. And they said, commit that to words. Commit those words to pages. Let's get some art on this thing and print it.
By the way, typical nerd hating anything that has to do with love.
I can't feel it.
Hassan actually got a pink ring and did not have the power to use it.
I am a member of the...
It just turned into a red ring. You corrupted.
I mean, it is... it sells. Jeff Johns sold like a lot of books using that concept, and for a while I read them. But yeah, it is pretty ridiculous now. But
well, here's now there are two different things. Then do you hate the original core that's been around since the 50s? Just
we're talking Mogo, Gnort.
You know what we did with time? We were on acid. This was the 90s. We were on acid. We decided to just go online and just look up weird Green Lanterns to laugh. And Alan Moore wrote one that was like a vial of anthrax. That was a Green Lantern. Yep. I was like, oh, Alan Moore. They'll let you do anything.
What? There's a wall of anthrax from the Alan Moore. What if a disease had power?
You're a genius. Thanks, Alan.
But I mean, yeah. So do you hate the original core since the 50s, or do you hate the new saturation of all the different rings?
There's no reason why one Green Lantern would be better than the other. Because at no point during the course of being Green Lantern are you ever expected to use intelligence or deductive reasoning. You just have a ring that can do everything.
I think you're just being a real poozer about this.
Yeah.
You can be a fat Green Lantern. You can be a lazy Green Lantern. You just have a ring that can do everything, and it doesn't matter.
Or the idea that it's just a complicated.
Yeah, but it's the willpower. but some of those people have more willpower than others.
Now we're getting into it's. It's oddly enough just when you almost are about to die that you summon the real willpower within yourself.
And by the way, this is also a really nerdy thing where I was like totally with you. Fuck a bunch of Star Wars, but the Green Lantern.
Slow down.
That's what this show is all about. Mike, what's your number 2?
I alluded to this before the show, but unlockables in video games. Fucking hate them. You know why? Because I do things. I'm a comic. I'm in a relationship. You know, I do things other than play video games. And when I buy a game, I want everything there.
Just give it to me.
It's, you know what it is? It's a cheap way of having more replay value, where it's like, oh, now you have to work for stuff. It's
I think it's video game makers going, oh, push yourself's limit. And there's a reason why I don't do parkour. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't need to fucking.
My
push
limits
myself to
are
the limit.
quite
They're
limited.
right there. The
But
bar
here's
is really low.
But here's like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 as an example. You know, when that came out for the Dreamcast, and you had to get every single character. And it's like, and I worked at McDonald's at the time. I want to come home from my shitty job and be the Juggernaut. I don't want to have to work to be the Juggernaut's friend. That's something I'd have to do if there really was a Juggernaut.
Now, I was thinking about this, and I was like, yeah, it wasn't always this way. And I just remembered they got rid of cheat codes. Like, on no game can you IDD, QD, or down Y, left, right, AB, AB, and just, like, okay,
By the way, I think
challenge.
Hassan is what I think the game genie would look like.
That's just racist, isn't it?
It's not sizes, so you gotta admit, I'm just hating differently. I just love that there's a game genie. Like, does he only get, like, it would be great if you could only use the game genie 3 times and then the system corrupts.
It'd be great if the game genie was over 3,000 years old, but couldn't be effective until the mid '80s because there weren't video games yet. It's just like, sorry guys, you have to put me back in the lab.
The game genie just starts telling you to sympathize with the Ayatollah for no reason.
Muammar Gaddafi's been through a lot, guys. Let's not start throwing stones unless your wife has gone out without a burqa. Then
I
throw
gotta say,
away.
Gaddafi, best comeback of the year so far. He's really
That's
come
it.
from obscurity to...
He's just in. He's in. He's hot. Like Charlie Sheen right now.
To continue the circle of
like
hate,
Daredevil under Kevin Smith.
my number 2 thing that I absolutely, if it just went away forever, I would be celebrating it. Japanese RPG games.
Holy shit! I was actually going to think about saying just Japanese games in general.
I was just going to say the Japanese.
those guys.
We tried that in World War II.
Yeah.
It got a little rough.
For them, we won.
But I think Japanese games in general is like, your cutscenes are terrible. I don't want to watch them. How about this? Save points when I want to save them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe my wife's gone into labor. I don't need to fucking climb up Crystal Mountain again so I can get to a save point. I need to save right now for my baby.
You have a wife and a kid. Now that's a fantasy.
Well, that kind of ties into mine with the unlockables. Like, games should just be as accessible as possible. You know, that's like, it's their thought, like, it's more challenging if it takes you extra time to save. It's like, no, I got other things to do. You know,
There's something where, like, in the 90s, like, people started liking Final Fantasy, and, like, Final Fantasy VII got big, and, like, all of a sudden all these Japanese games were making a lot of money because they were quirky and different and weird, and, like, the Japanese game makers just all of a sudden were like, oh, they like us when we're weird? We were really holding back. Unleash how weird we can be, and it's just nonsensical.
a video
like,
game
frilly
is a
outfits.
prostitute. It is not a girlfriend. And Hassan, you know a lot about this. It's, you know what? Like, I fuck you when I want. It goes for as long as I want. I do whatever I want to you. I don't have to give anything back.
I pick up the controller. I come really fast. I feel terrible about myself for about 3 days.
And it costs way too much money.
And what you done?
I take a shower where I feel even dirtier afterwards. I don't even know how that works with shower physics.
Anytime I've ever played any of those games, I like get sucked into the nonsense story where it's just like, the moon has gone evil and you must gather the crystals, but turns out one of the crystals was an evil crystal. And like just all this squeaky voiced bullshit. And then you look and you're like, that was 30 hours of my life that I will never get back.
I think there's a thing also where I don't like RPGs because I don't like the concept of having to level up. Because I, in my own life, have never earned anything I find.
Yeah, we don't get better every year.
I fall ass backwards into money and jobs. I don't have an education to speak of.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I'm level, like I just turned 28, you're level 28. You unlocked more debt.
Thanks, Dad.
What's it? The entire concept of like, I like it, you know, getting better and like the feeling of progress. But when it gets,
Then explain your life currently. Go.
what's it? I just got +2 on ripping because I went to the shitty roadshow gig mini level, and I feel like I am in fact leveling up.
I think the problem with Japanese games is that they don't realize that we don't care about what happens in your stupid Japanese brains when you get these stories. It's like, you've had the Japanese, they're conquered people, so they're terrible. Stick to weird porno that's been animated for my pleasure. You know what I mean? Like,
specifically for you actually wrote a letter. It's like, Dear Japan, I would like more nurses and tentacles.
it ain't kiddie porn if they're animated. Thanks, Japan. Bing.
Give me 3 Shumagoras for every 1 Joe Valentine. Should we take another break? Yeah.
One more break, and then we'll get to the final 3
All
of
right.
hatred. I got a doozy.
Okay.
Hated the best. Now listen to the rest.
The final hate. All right.
As they started singing, I just started looking at them like they were assholes.
All right.
Great.
Jake? You don't get fucked. You don't got power. This is Nerd of Mouth.
Nobody ever loves you. You're a loser. All right. By the way, we've never had an episode where we don't break out into a song.
I feel like it's a stamp of approval. Yeah. It's how we know that you're listening to the authentic Nerd of Mouth.
By the way, someone probably just shouted, episode 3. Do with that.
Do we have a wiki ad? Can we get that going?
Yeah. So you go first this time.
All right. The number one thing that I hate about nerd culture is bad fan-made projects, whether it's a crappy DeviantArt account or fan fiction or
Superman Returns.
Or Superman Returns. or X-Men Origins Wolverine. There's just so much crap out there, and I don't want to just automatically shit on people's creativity, but there's just
you, Julie Taymor.
But all right, I looked up the term worst fan fiction ever, and I stumbled upon My Immortal, which is a teenage girl wrote a fan fiction about Harry Potter in which all of the characters are vampires for no reason,
using an Evanescence song as the title of it.
Yes.
Sad that you know that.
Okay, if I can read a bit of Chapter 4, and I'm going to leave all spelling and grammar errors intact. This is her preamble. And I said, stup flaming, okay? Ebony's name is Enobi, not Mary Sue, okay? Draco is so in love with her that he is acting deferent. They knew each other before. Okay.
Why did that sound like it was written by Brer Rabbit?
Draco, I shouted. What the fuck do you think you are doing? Draco didn't answer, but he stopped the flying car and he walked out of it. I walked out of it too, curiously. What the fucking hell? I asked angrily. Ebony, he asked. What? I snapped. Draco leaned in extra close, and I looked into his gothic red eyes. He was wearing color contacts, which revealed so much.
By the way, for something you hate this much, you're giving it a lot of attention. It should have been 2 sentences and you're done.
Okay, fine. I'll cut to, oh, I screamed. I was beginning to get an orgasm. We started to kiss everywhere, and my pale body became all warm. And then, what the hell are you doing, you motherfuckers? It was ... Dumbledore. End of chapter.
That's the sexiest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I feel like that epitomizes all of the weird fan-made bullcrap that just proliferates on the internet because there's just a weird circle jerk of people.
You know, I think your problem with that fan fiction was your puritanical view of sexuality.
All right, Hassan. What's your thing?
I actually was thinking about this. I actually switched mine mid go. You know what I hate currently? The heroic age and Marvel Comics. It's like, comics were really awesome for a while. Let's make them shitty again like they were in the early 90s. Yay! Thanks, Bendis.
Status quo. Status quo.
It's like, we were doing really interesting shit and everything's like a lot of interesting concepts and people were really into it. No. Everybody just sucks again. It's all bright and fun one more time. Why? It was awesome the way it was. Leave it.
Because it's the movies. They for some reason, even though it's been decades now, and movies have done nothing for comic book sales, they keep thinking if they suck up to new fans, that somehow that'll get them out of the incredibly deep hole they're in.
What was the thing you switched from?
I was actually going to say just, hey, Grant Morrison, way to ruin DC Comics altogether. It was just like, hey, I'm Grant Morrison. Hey, Grant Morrison, can you write some comics for us? I'm just going to shovel fistfuls of psychedelics down my throat and then just write, something about fucking the New Gods. And it's going to be fucking asinine and crazy because Grant Morrison's
We already shat on teenage fan fiction. The thing I hate more than anything, the Green Goblin. That's simple. Fuck him. He's always sucked. He's a Joker ripoff. And Dr. Octopus is the iconic Spider-Man villain. 8 tentacles, 8 legs. It works. I love it. Get the fuck out of my comic books, Norman Osborn, you piece of fucking shit. You've never been good. You always get shoehorned into being the main antagonist. I kind of like what they did with him in the past few years because... hey, they finally got their own, Lex Luthor in the Marvel Universe. But I'd say from 1963, 64, when he was created, up until maybe 2006, I fucking have always hated the Green Goblin. It ruined the Spider-Man movie. Yeah. It did not ruin the Spider-Man musical, but he sucks. He fucking sucks.
Here. I think my
it doesn't even make any sense. Why is the Goblin fighting a spider? Gliders? The little lightning thing? He's a homosexual. It's like, he's everything gay. Zap, zap. I'm going to throw these bombs at you.
They're shaped like pumpkins. Why are they shaped like pumpkins?
I don't know.
Get out of my comic books, you piece of shit. Oh.
Because Stan Lee just did whatever he wanted. Didn't matter.
He's a goblin and he's green. I don't take care of my kids.
And yet, your love of Hobgoblin is known well. By
the way, here's why I think the Green Goblin probably has been as big as he is. He's probably the only thing that Stanley actually came up with on his own. Like, Ditko was taking a holiday that day or something. Like, he took a dump. He's like, oh, that's Electro. I'm going to make that. But, like, fucking Stan Lee is just like, oh, I love this guy. He's got a pouch, too. Also, Green Goblin is the reason that Steve Ditko left the series, and that's when Spider-Man started sucking.
Started sucking? That's when it... Just right there, that's when it started. That's when the downfall...
If you read the last few issues of Ditko... segging into the first few issues of Romita, it sucks. They basically took a great, really dark, weird comic book, which there was nothing like it at the time, and they made it into Archie and Friends with superpowers.
Let's just talk about Spider-Man. While we're on this and we're talking about hate, because I don't know why, but I was thinking about this the other day. All right, you're Peter Parker. You get bit by a radioactive spider because your life sucks, and you're probably closeted.
By the way, if you say you hate on May, I will kill you. You're a beautiful woman.
Just in general, you're like, all right, I got these spider powers. Great. I've done it. I've reached the pinnacle of my life. I have spider powers. I'm really poor. I need money. I invented these webs that dissolve in 24 hours, and they're strong as steel. I'm going to get into a wrestling competition for cash. I'm never going to sell these web forms. And I know Tony Stark personally. He is never going to get this web form at all. I'm going to fucking scrimp and scrape for money the entire existence
and the
of
live
character.
Billy Mays is just selling like a fixed steel, car damage, do everything you want. Billy Mays here talking about amazing webs.
It's webs.
By the way, I always imagine that Hank Pym would be the Billy Mays of the Marvel Universe. If you were a Marvel superhero and you met Hank Pym, would you just go, seriously? Why don't you just, come on. Everybody has one thing. He named particles after himself just to feel acknowledged. I did it, guys. It was me. You know what? Pym is one of my favorite characters. So he's awesome. He's like Reed Richards if you were Reed Richards. Horribly flawed. Like if any of us was. I kind of agree. He to me is the pinnacle of Marvel heroes. The fact that he's always like this close to the spotlight, but he never really gets it. I like that. I like him more than Tony Stark because the guy standing in someone's shadows is better than the guy who's creating the shadow for someone else. Iron Man has honestly sucked for so long until Bendis and Fraction started writing him, and now he's like a full and interesting character. I agree with almost everything the guy says. And then he has guilt now and stuff. I mean, why? But I liked Tony as a dick back in the day, like when Pym beat up Janet and he went to prison, and then like Stark hit on her the second that it happened. Like that's awesome to me. Like that, you need guys like that. I always remember my favorite like Iron Man moment was when he was booze hounding it up.
And he was just, I don't even remember, I just remember seeing this like one panel, I don't know why it's stuck in my memory, but he was just like, I'll go fight the Crimson Dynamo. First, I need a little bit of liquid courage. And War Machine was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going to get drunk and fight the Crimson Dynamo. That's how I would fight the Crimson Dynamo, because I was so wasted. I'm like, fuck the Crimson Dynamo.
I love that you defeat a Russian with alcoholism. Your own alcoholism defeats. Oh, and Norman Osborn's hair doesn't make any sense. What the fuck is with that? Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. Although I did want to see it in the movie. Would have been nice to see Willem Dafoe with.
His voice is the Green Goblin. Annoyed as shit. Hey, hero! It's like, I get that you're in a fucking mask. Why is Spider-Man's just talking like a regular guy? What are you using that voice for? What if villains just talk like a regular guy? It's like, oh,
I love that he's like,
I don't like you, Spider-Man.
His ultimate plan in the movie was to dress up as an old woman and deceive him. Basically, like, I think that's how Tyler Perry's conquering the world right now. And I think with that, everything should end with Tyler Perry.
Hold on.
He is the death bringer.
Hi, Draco, I said in a depressed voice.
Well, it wasn't funny the first time. It's not going to be funny now.
On the way to the concert, we listened to Good Charlotte and Marilyn Manson.
Jake, you are Carlos Mencia. You are bombing with someone else's material.
We both smoked cigarettes and drugs.
Why do you keep doing this?
We both smoked cigarettes and drugs. Was fun.
Jake reading fan fiction. The fourth thing I hate the most. It didn't get a laugh. You went like a minute. Come on.
You just have to open your heart to My Immortal, is what you have to do.
I opened my Owen heart. It fell to the ground and we mourned it years later. Guys, this was a great episode. This was a lot of fun. Let's give it up for everybody. Marcus Parks, producing
extraordinaire,
and Hassan Madri. Man, you are a great guest.
I was pretty good.
and Jake Young.
Man.
And fan fiction woman who wrote half this episode. And with that, we are done. See you next time.